on this episode of the Clip Service Podcast. Roland and I are going to talk about a really exciting opening to the season. Unfortunately, it came at the hands of a loss to the Phoenix Suns in an overtime, very close game in overtime. But the Intuit Dome's here, guys, and it is just as good as advertised. After that, the Clippers ended up winning another close game against the Denver Nuggets in Denver. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to preview a 4-game stretch that starts with a game today. We're recording this on Sunday, the 27th. We have a game today against the Golden State Warriors, I think at 5 p.m. We're going to preview that game as well as 3 others in the coming week. All of that and more. We're going to talk a little bit about some other teams around the league, maybe some Bronny talk, some Bronny discourse. We'll see if we have time for that. But a lot to talk about, guys. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast, Season 2. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And also make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. We got a lot to talk about. I'm Rolla, this is Nick, and let's get right into it.
What's going on, guys? Coming out of my cage, and I've been doing just fine. This is the first episode of Season 2 of the Clip Service Podcast.
Let's go!
Waving goodbye to Season 1. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for Season 1. It was kind of a trial and error at times, but we're slowly starting to get organized, or so we think. And we're going to be doing a couple different things throughout the season. In this new season of the Clip Service Podcast. But yeah, a lot coming up and a lot to talk about, guys. And the first of which would be Intuit Dome is open, guys, and it is as glorious and as technologically advanced as advertised. I mean, just based off of, we weren't able to go, but just from what we saw on the broadcast, it looks incredible, and it's insane. It's insane that it's already here, because I don't know if I've mentioned it, but a couple years ago, I did like a hard hat tour of when they were just putting up the structure, and nothing was furnished. Everything was very much just like I said, like the structure of the building. They were explaining where everything was going to be. And then 2 years later, it's up and running, and it looks, I mean, there's not really much that you can say. I'm kind of at a loss for words, just because this is unlike anything that the Clippers as a franchise have had. Obviously, we played in the sports arena, and then we went to the Staples Center, which became Crypto. So we've kind of been bouncing around. Never really had. Obviously, there's some great moments in Staples Center, some great memories throughout Clipper history in that building. It's a legendary building, but obviously you can talk to most Clipper fans and they would feel the same way. It just never really felt like it was the Clippers' home, right?
Right.
And so to see that we have what is probably this gold standard for NBA arenas in the league right now, just in terms of the amenities and what the building offers and everything like that. To have that and to say that is the Clippers' home stadium, it's a dream come true, and it's something that you ask any Clipper fan, we probably wouldn't have envisioned anything like this 5-6 years ago. Rolla, what did you think about it from the broadcast?
Yeah, man. I mean, this whole week was kind of emotional for me, basketball wise, just for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, that Intuit Dome looks fucking insane.
It does.
I mean, like, I'm a Rams fan. I'm sure I've mentioned it multiple times on the pod, but SoFi Stadium is one of the nicest stadiums I've ever been to,
Haven't been
and
there yet,
it's
but
it's pretty
I'll get around
it's
to it.
pretty amazing. And it's like right next to the Intuit Dome, but
Yeah,
um, just
very
from the
cool.
broadcast, just from the broadcast, the Intuit Dome looks unreal. The wall looks crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Suns games, many of the players kind of commented and said that wall is like truly distracted them and
Oh, it's
was
imposing.
something that
Yeah.
they had never seen. I mean, like you saw like what the stadium looked like when they were building, and kind of like now to have it like fully completed and like to see the finished product and to see like the court and to see like the Clippers play in a completely new different arena um was just like unbelievable. And like I've been a Clipper fan for a long time. Like I've been going to Staples Center games for a long time, and like Nick said, like it never really felt like home. Um, but to kind of see the Clippers play in like an arena that's like truly theirs is definitely a little bit emotional. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
excited to go. Like I'm really gonna try to go when I go back home, and kind of try to see the new Intuit Dome for myself. Honestly, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think we're planning. Roland and I were talking about with some of our friends. We're planning on going to one of the games probably later in November. So we'll probably have an episode on that. We might put up a live stream. Um, when we all if we all get together and make it out to one of those games. But yeah, it's.
Mhm.
I mean, dude, like, and all the credit to Ballmer. I mean,
Oh man,
obviously, it's an easy decision to make when you're a billionaire, a
right,
multi-billionaire, and stuff like that. But I mean, the dude, I can't say enough about how much the dude actually cares about like this team and this franchise and like getting this franchise to have its own identity and have ownership over their own brand, right? And you
right,
saw it like when they debuted the wall, and this was really cool too, just to see how much media coverage the Clippers stadium was getting. I mean, ESPN had a special before the
yeah.
game talking about hyping up all of the things that the stadium has to offer, and then when you see the wall for the first time, Steve Ballmer is at the front of the wall, leading a chant, leading a cheer, swaying back and forth, doing Steve Ballmer stuff, and then he just gets on the mic and just says, "Welcome home, Clipper Nation," and the whole stadium goes insane. That was awesome. I mean, for those of you that don't know, I think the organization hired Hans Zimmer, who's obviously a legendary composer,
Hmm.
um, to compose an original score for the Clippers to have to debut for their highlight montage thing that they do pregame, their video
Hmm.
thing, whatever you want to call it. That was really cool. It sounded great. Um, Ballmer pulled out all the stops, and they showed footage outside of the stadium where they have that pickup basketball court and fans were playing basketball. I know a couple people that went, and they said it was just like it was the basketball mecca. You had
Yeah.
kids and young adults and grown adults playing basketball together outside. They walk right inside, get to watch the game. It's like I said, it's a dream come true. And the coolest thing about it to me was just seeing the way that the Clippers fans like showed up and and
Right.
and came out in force and were loud, and you can hear it on the broadcast. You could
Oh
barely
yeah.
hear the commentary at times because the stadium is just acoustically so much louder. It's built to be a loud stadium. I know people that were sending or posting photos of their Apple watches showing that they were
Too loud.
in a loud
Yeah.
environment, and hearing protection uh, was not
Compromised.
required. But yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like it was a very loud environment, and the energy was great. And I think
Right.
that's the coolest part is it gave a chance for Clipper fans to really, for the first time that I can remember, really debut or not debut, but to show their fandom in full force and be comfortable in their own space. And it was so cool. It looked like a college basketball game, just in terms of like the fan
The amount of
involvement
fans.
and yeah, and just the energy and stuff. It was really cool. I cannot wait to go probably going to go. If we don't go later on in November, I'll probably find a time to go regardless. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it was great. Unfortunately, it didn't end in a win. It was a very close game, very competitive game. It was a
Yeah.
coin flip game, which is something that we're going to have a little bit of this season. Just, until Kawhi comes back, a lot of these games are going to come down to that coin flip at the
Mhm.
end just because of the lack of offense. The defense looked fantastic and it
It
looked as
did.
good as advertised.
Yeah, it
But
did.
unfortunately, when you fail to generate offense outside of James Harden, who was good, he had 8 turnovers,
I
but James
yeah,
Harden was pretty good.
I don't think he was good.
You don't
But
think so? Well, we'll
yeah.
talk about that in a sec. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
The Clippers played the Phoenix Suns in their home opener, and in the stadium opener. Phoenix Suns ended up taking the win 116-113 in overtime. Kevin Durant led the Suns with 25 points, was 8 for 17 from the field, was 7 for 9 from the free throw line. James Harden led the Clippers in scoring with 29 points, 10 for 28 from the field, 7 for 9 as well from the free throw line. One thing that I did like about what we saw from James Harden this game was that he took 28 shots, which is something that Roland and I have kind of talked about, especially in the
Oh
playoffs
yeah.
this last time around, was our stars have a tendency to be, whether you want to call it unselfish or passive, whatever it is, they don't get enough shots up. And as many people have said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
Yep.
if you're not generating that offense and at least giving yourself a chance to make shots, then you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And that was one thing that I liked. I mean, 28 shots is a lot, and
I don't think so.
I mean, it's a lot more than we're used to,
Well,
from
not if there's no one else
from our
that
stars.
can,
That's true.
take up those
That's true.
shots.
But that was something that I liked. I liked the fact that James Harden was taking shots, and he still had 8 assists, right? Like, he wasn't not passing the ball. I
Right.
think the turnovers, took away from that a little bit. But I like the 28 shots from James. What stood out from you the most, from the Clippers side of things, in this game, Rolla?
What stood out to me the most, and it's game one, so I'm not going to be too harsh on
Right,
James
we're still
Harden or our
riding the high
stars or
from
anything.
the stadium opener. Like,
Um, but yeah, I have two things that stood out to me the most. I mean, I'm looking at this right now, like you said. I'm looking at the box score, 8 turnovers from James Harden, and I know like it's game one. The game went into overtime. He's the main ball handler, but 8 turnovers from your point guard is completely unacceptable. I
that's a
think
lot.
I don't know the stats of points off of turnovers that the Suns had, but I think if he had half the amount of turnovers, if he had 4 turnovers rather than 8, I think we win that game regular time.
I agree.
Um,
I
and
agree.
like I said, he's going to be rusty. He's going to be rusty for the first couple games. I mean, that's just how it is. And he missed the free throw that would have tied the game in, was it overtime or in overtime? And
Where James Harden missed the
yeah, missed the
it was
second
that
free
was in
throw in
regulation.
overtime. Was
Oh, the free
that was
throw.
in overtime?
That was
Yeah,
in overtime. Yeah.
yeah.
Would have tied the game.
And it's just like things like that. I mean, he's the guy. Kawhi isn't there, so it's got to be him.
Sure.
And to miss free throws, something that's kind of like his calling card for like his entire career. They've called him, a foul baiter, and he gets most of his points from free throws. And to miss a free throw when it matters most. I mean, I was hard on Paul George when he would miss free throws. I mean, it's the same thing with James Harden. Like, that's your thing. You
Yeah.
can't. I mean, what the reason why he gets paid the most money is because they expect him to, when it matters most, they expect him to, and it's the difference between like a superstar and a star, because I think he's a star currently,
Mhm.
um, but is to be at the same level, meet expectations when there is the most pressure. The expectation is that you are a 90% uh, free throw shooter, hit 90% of your free throws. When it matters most, you have 2 free throws. We expect you to hit 2 out of those 2 free throws. And he
Yeah.
didn't. He did not meet expectations. A superstar, right, excels when it matters most. A
Yeah.
star is supposed to be himself when it matters most. These role players probably most of the time aren't going to be themselves when it matters most. That's why they're role players. So it was just a little bit disappointing to see us lose that game. I think that was a game that we could have won. I don't
True.
think
And
James
Ty Lue
Harden had a
said
good
that
game at
after the
all.
game too. Ty Lue said that was a game that we should have won. So he
Right.
recognized that as well.
But I gotta say another thing that I really, really liked was Zubac with 21
Oh
points
man.
and 9 boards, bro. He had a great game. He balled his ass off. He signed that contract, and not going forward, not to go forward or anything, but the last 2 games he's been balling his ass off, and
Yeah, no,
he's been doing more than we could have ever asked for.
Zu's been
Um,
great. That was a big standout for me as
yeah.
well, and I think that I kind of expected that. Zu looked really really sharp. He didn't end up making the final Olympic tournament or whatever, but he looked sharp in the qualifiers or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, he has been getting incrementally better over the last couple of years, just in little things. His jump hook has gotten a lot better. His like little
Right.
turnaround hook.
Mhm.
He has a post game. Um, his defense is always going to be there. He's really good at staying vertical and stuff. And yeah, early on in this season, he's looked fantastic. Like Rilla said up top, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. The problem with Zoo and with Terrence Mann in this one were, and I actually liked the way that the refs were calling the game for the first 3.5 quarters, and then they
Mhm.
started on both sides. They started kind of tightening up on the whistle. Booker ended up fouling out. Terrence Mann
Yeah.
ended up fouling out in the fourth, I believe. Zoo
Mhm.
ended up fouling out in overtime. So that's 3 players in this game that ended up fouling out, and they were just a little bit. They were a little bit. They were a little loose with the whistles there towards
Right.
the end, which kind of took away from the flow of the game. I think that not having Terrence Mann as some defensive help in that fourth quarter and in overtime really did a disservice. Terrence Mann had an okay game, 8 points. Obviously fouled out, but he added 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He looked aggressive at times, added a steal as well, only 1 turnover, but unfortunately ended up fouling out. Believe it or not, I mean, obviously the point total doesn't really show it. Norman Powell had 17 points, but 1 for 7 from three, 5 for 16 from the field. Norm was a little quiet in this one. I think that was we could have used a little bit more from him. Derek Jones was great, 12
Right.
points in 29 minutes, and that's kind of what we should expect from Derek Jones. He hit both of his threes, was 5 for 6 from the field, very efficient. Added 2 steals, um, and I mean Amir Coffey was okay. He hit a couple big shots. I mean his efficiency from the field was great. He was 4 for 4, 2 for 2 from three. He did have a couple lapses on defense. And I think the thing with Amir, as we've said, I think the last episode or two was, Amir is a little bit limited with his offense, and we really needed on-ball scoring off the dribble. And unfortunately, the thing that Amir excels most at is kind of his catch and shoot off-ball scoring. So, I
I
mean,
mean,
you
I
can't
think he
expect him.
can. I think he can score off the dribble. I just think that he kind of has to be in a rhythm to be able to do so. Otherwise, he's kind of just a catch and shooter, and
Yeah,
3-and-D type of player.
yeah. And I think he can do that, but I think that there's 3 guys as of right now that we should really expect to be on ball scoring options, and that's obviously James Harden, Norman Powell, who we'll really talk about
Yeah.
when we recap next game, and then believe it or not, Kevin Porter Jr., who in the first 2 games of the season has looked
He
about
looks
as
like
bad
shit.
as you could look, especially for a
Yeah.
guy that's really trying to work his way back into the NBA. He has some off court stuff, that is still pending, and you think with a situation like that, he would really do what he can to be efficient and to be, provide something for this team. But we haven't seen that so far. But those 3
Hmm.
guys are going to be the guys that I'm looking at to get us to generate offense off the dribble. And James Harden just didn't get a ton of help outside of 17 points is good from Norm, but we know that he can do better than 1 for 7 from three and 5 for 16 or whatever it was from the field. So I think that was part of the reason why we were struggling a little bit at times. We had, I think, like a 9 or 10 point lead at one point. Um, and like I said, the defense was great, but when you can't keep up with the scoring output from another team, especially one like the Phoenix Suns that like to score, they're
Yeah.
very potent offense, knowing their personnel. um, it makes it a little difficult. One thing that I liked, it's not going to show up on the stat sheet, was Chris Dunn's ball pressure in this game really led the attack on defense. He generated, I mean, even if he didn't get credit for the steal, his on ball pressure led to, Kevin Durant getting rid of the ball when he probably shouldn't have, leads to a steal. I really liked what I saw defensively from Chris Dunn and from Amir Coffey. The defense to me has looked really, really solid. I think Jeff Van Gundy has had kind of a hand in that, and I expect the defense to be solid moving forward. But the offense, I think this game and kind of throughout the season is going to be a work in progress. Obviously, Paul George had his shortcomings, but having a guy out there that can score off the dribble and can walk into 35 points when he wants to, it's a luxury. And not having that, I think we're going to have to find a way to keep defenses honest and, have a guy that can call for double teams and stuff like that just to open things up for everybody else. But aside from that, obviously, it would have been great to take the win. Had a chance to take the win right there at the end. James Harden got to the hoop, just missed on a floater, went to overtime, and then at that point, I think everybody was kind of running on fumes. James Harden ended up playing 40 minutes. We were already without Terrence Mann. We lose Zubats in overtime. I just think it was too little, too late, and we were missing some helpful pieces. Mo Bamba's still out with a knee issue. Kai Jones played a little bit in this Suns game. He was okay on offense when it came to like getting lobs.
I thought he looked pretty good, honestly.
He looked good on offense.
He showed his athleticism a lot.
He did, and that's something that we should expect from him, and that's something that he can provide easily. The problem with Kai Jones is I think his intangibles and his fundamentals still need a lot of work. His defense was really bad. He let a couple guys get straight to the line or straight to the hoop. Kind of going at Suns ended up going on a little bit of a run. He was just out of place a little, and I think that he's not, obviously he shouldn't take a ton of responsibility. He's being put in a situation that kind of over exceeds what he probably expected coming into the season. But I am excited to see once Mo Bamba comes back to have probably more of a steady hand at the backup five than Kai Jones. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you wanted to touch on in this one, Rolla?
No. We can move on to the next one.
Sounds good. Yeah. So Clippers dropped the season opener, move on to the Denver Nuggets in Denver. This game was yesterday, right?
Yeah, this game was no. This game was it yesterday? It was on.
It was
Friday.
It was yesterday. Yeah. No, Saturday. It would have been Saturday because today's Sunday. So game was yesterday at 2 p.m. I was a little worried just based on the timing and the fact that Denver is a tough place to play with the altitude and stuff, and I kind of expected the Clippers to come out sluggish, but that wasn't really the case. Clippers were locked in, especially defensively. In this one. They looked very good. There were times when, again, the offense was kind of at a standstill, but this was one game where Norman Powell completely did a 180 from the last game that he played. Ended up leading the team with 37 points. If Jokic didn't go nuclear, he would have been the leader in scoring for the game. Jokic ended up having 41 points. That's kind of commonplace for him.
Yeah.
But Norman Powell was great. Ended up hitting some really timely threes there in the fourth quarter. Was 14 for 21 from the field, 7 for 11 from three. So he ended up having 7 threes for the game. 37 points. Didn't do a ton of other things, but as we know, Norman Powell is out there to score. So Norm was fantastic in this one. James Harden added 23 points with 16 assists. 5 for 11 from the field, so pretty efficient. He was 1 for 5 from the three. His three ball wasn't really falling, but one thing that I really liked was he was getting the line. He was 12 for 13 from the free throw line. This was awesome to see. He was forcing the issue, ended up hitting some really big free throws down the stretch. Conversely to what happened last game where he missed a couple big free throws, he ended up coming in clutch from the line in this one. And then Zu, another fantastic game.
Dude.
In this one, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists. Had a couple turnovers, but I mean, Zu was fantastic in this one, and he's continuing his hot streak. One thing that I've heard a lot of people talk about in our friend group and on Twitter, Terrence Mann scoreless in this one, 0 for 4. only 3 rebounds, 1 assist. This game, last game, I was able to kind of justify it with the fouling out, and he got in foul trouble. This one, he just looked a little bit passive. He was getting the ball, getting to the hoop, and then instead of going up for a clean layup or at least trying to draw the foul or something, he would kick it out, give a grenade to a 3-point shooter, and they would have to force it up. This wasn't a great Terrence Mann game, and I'll just be honest. I'm the biggest Terrence Mann fan, but I would like to see, now that Terrence Mann has gotten the extension and he's secured the bag. I would like to see him focus more on offense, especially now that we have Derek Jones carrying a larger load on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence Mann can really focus on being, the starting 2 guard and being aggressive on offense, and that's something that I'm looking for. I know that he will, but I would like to see it sooner rather than later, because there's a chance that he gets replaced by someone on the bench.
Absolutely not
in the starting lineup. I wouldn't
Yeah,
agree with it, but I think that there's a chance that it happens if he doesn't continue to stay aggressive offensively.
yeah. I gotta say, the whole Terrence Mann thing, like, and I know I just talk shit about James Harden, but that's James Harden. But we gotta realize we're 2 games into the season. Uh, I mean, I understand the expectations are high, um, but Terrence Mann isn't like the reason we paid him was not to score points. That's not his job. I know we want to see that from him, and I know that we love that. I know we've seen him pour on points before, but that's not what we pay him for. We pay him to be to give us those intangibles, to be that guy that makes the team better, that defends the other team's best player, that is scrappy, that does the little things for our team. And I think that to expect him, I mean, he didn't have the best game, but I think that a Terrence Mann game, because of what he does, because of his job, looks worse than it actually is. Just because he's not going to put on points. He's not going to get 15 rebounds like Zu. He's not going to get 10 assists. Although we would like to see that, I just don't think that's the reality of the team. I think overall, I think that he will get better. I think we see him improve the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
It was the first week of the season. I mean, these players haven't played NBA level basketball in months, so they're just not going to be, in tip top form. I mean, some players come out and ball out, but other players come out and just don't hit or aren't able to. They don't have the confidence that they usually do, and that's something that comes with the season. Overall, I mean, I think the Clippers played an amazing game. Like you were saying, Zu had a fantastic game, 24 points, 15 boards. This was coming off a great game against the Suns. And he's guarding Jokic and scoring against Jokic, which is very impressive. I feel like he always goes off against Jokic for some reason. I was just
about to say, he has his best games against Jokic, it seems.
I think it's because they have a similar skill type. I think Jokic is just, he's just Zu on steroids pretty much. But I think I think Zu he's like a very finesse type scorer. He's going to give you those hooks. He's great at shooting like mid range. He can hit low key. He can hit threes. He can hit free throws. He can't really play make like, dude, I've seen him hit some threes, bro. We got to look up the stats. But I mean,
he's hit any.
Bro, look up the stats. We'll look up the stats.
He's 1-for-1, dude.
No, but he is a finesse shooter. Like he can hit shots. Like sometimes when
I agree, he is more finesse.
Yeah, when the time comes, he'll hit a mid range. But overall,
he won in the Nuggets game. He hit a mid range.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Cool. James Harden had a great game, 16 assists. But Norman Powell, dude, I was watching this game and I was thinking to myself, he was hitting all of these crazy shots. I mean, he was 7-11 from 3, hitting all of these crazy shots. We were looking to him in the fourth quarter to kind of score for us. And, we were running plays for him. We were like feeding the hot hand. And I was just thinking, man, like, this was just an unreal game for Norm. But for so many players, like, for example, like Kawhi, this is kind of like the expectation. I expect Kawhi to score like 30 plus. But it's just so crazy how I don't know, just to like think that Norman Powell, like a role player, has to put in so much effort to score 35 plus 37 points, and Kawhi can kind of just do it. Uh, it just kind of goes to show like the skill level gap of, a role player and a superstar. And that's why there's so little of superstars in the league. And that's why there's so little amount of players in the league, because it's just so hard to get to this level of talent and elite play. And I mean, overall, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. I
Well,
mean, I
no,
think
that's
it's
that's an
just,
interesting. I like that. I like that's it's an interesting perspective because it's like, I mean, Norm's a little bit of an outlier just because he's proven that this guy can walk into 20, 25, and sometimes 30 points a game. He's a very gifted scorer. He's been in the running for six man of the year for several years in a row
oh
now.
yeah,
A very, very gifted scorer, whether he's starting, whether he's off the bench. But that's an interesting perspective, like you see an outpouring of points like this from a guy like Norman Powell, but you forget that guys like Kawhi and James Harden and Paul George at times, like the league's best, right,
mm-hmm.
can do this on a consistent basis. And I think that brings me into the point that I was going to make, and that is when we don't have Kawhi, when we don't have a guy that is expected to give you that point total, we don't necessarily need 37 from Norm every night, but we need guys to step up offensively and kind of fill the void, while Kawhi's out. And I think even going further back, I want to touch on the Terrence Mann thing. I do agree, obviously, to a point that Terrence Mann should not be held to this lofty expectation, like he should give us 25, 26, 27 points a night.
Right.
That's just not his game. But I think getting the extension that he got and being with the team for so long and having a pretty firm place in the starting lineup, I would like to see him just be more aggressive. He doesn't even have to make all of his shots, but I would like to see the willingness to go out and like, okay, I'm gonna try and get a bucket. Like
And I think he
I'm not
will. I
gonna
think he
pass up
will
open
get
shots.
there.
I agree,
But
but
I
I
just
think
don't
that
think that's on his mind right now.
I think it kind of needs to be, and like I said, I don't think that he needs to give you a 37 like Norm. That's just not his position. But
Mm-hmm.
to 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 take some sort of a step forward in scoring, because we do have a guy like Derek Jones and Chris Dunn and
Right.
guys like that to really replace the defense that he provided us with like the last
Right.
couple of years, so he can focus more on offense and just be more willing, like, okay, I get the ball and I'm heading towards the hoop, instead of passing it to another guy with 5 seconds on the clock to shoot a three. I want to take this thing up. I mean, he's so athletic, try to
Yeah.
finish through contact, get to the free throw line, stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of thing that I expect from Terrence, and I agree with you. I believe that we'll see that. I just would like to see it early on in the season so he can really set a tone. And that opens things up, having another guy that can, because I mean, if you look at Norm this game, once he started getting going and started hitting those threes, he was
He was just
getting doubled, and it was
yeah.
opening things up for other guys. And if you have another guy in Terrence Mann that maybe he won't call for a double, but at least a guy that that if he gets the ball, he is a threat to try and score. That'll open things up for so many guys like Derek Jones, like Amir Coffey, like Chris Dunn, that can't really generate their own offense. That
But
if
I
the
think
defense collapses, he can then kick it out and get those guys open shots or whatever.
I think we've seen this before though, where Terrence Mann kind of like starts off a season kind of slow and
I agree. Yeah.
almost like he's not confident in himself, and I think that's just something that he has to, and it is unfortunate that he doesn't come into the season just like balling,
Yeah.
but I think that's something that like in his personality, or that's just how he is. He just has to like gain that confidence through a random game where he just goes off.
Yeah.
And then like from that point on, he starts like, like scoring and attacking more, and kind of like, dude, he can dunk on people.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do we don't really see that until he just kind of turns it on. And I think that's something that maybe the coaching staff kind of has to like push him a little bit. And it's unfortunate that like a professional basketball player has to be pushed into attacking. But I mean, there's an 82 2-game season for a reason. He'll get there, and I'm obviously a Terrence Mann apologist and a Terrence
We
Mann
have a bias here.
lover. And I mean, I am on record stating that I would take a bullet for Terrence Mann.
Yeah, I will
Uh,
pull up the receipts. You have
there
said that.
are multiple receipts on that. So yeah, maybe I am biased, but I've
No,
always thought he was the key, and he is the key, and I just don't think that we should make a haste decision on kind of what he brings to the table.
I agree. It's early days, and I believe that he'll turn it around. There's a lot of hot takes already that I'm seeing.
Hot, dude.
That Terrence Mann, we should have traded him. He doesn't deserve the extension. I don't buy into any of that. We've seen what Terrence Mann can give this team. We've seen
Bro,
why he's such a fan favorite.
we saw
Give
it in
him
the
some
last game
time.
of last season, bro. Him and Zoo were the only players that were balling their asses off that actually wanted it.
Yeah,
And now we're like talking about trading him. Like, that's crazy to me.
yeah. I'm nowhere near that. But I think it's good to be realistic now that he's gotten that extension. That I would like to see some aggression on
Yeah,
offense, and I think that we will. Is
I
there anything
agree.
else is there anything that you didn't like from this game, Rolla? Before we move on to previews.
No, honestly, I mean, it's game 2. There's only so much we can expect.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't. I actually loved what I saw from one last thing that I really liked. I love what I saw from Chris Dunn in this one. He was getting a little bit too overzealous with like reaching in and stuff like that. He ended up chalking
Mm-hmm.
up five fouls. Was kind of giving away points. It was fouling before the inbound and stuff like that. But chipped him with 11 points. His on-ball pressure again was very, very good. He hit 3 threes, which is great. 6 rebounds. I liked what I saw a lot from Chris Dunn. One thing that I didn't like was similar to last game. We need more. As long as he's on this team and as long as he's getting minutes, we need more from Kevin Porter. He's been really,
Oh
really
yeah,
bad. He was 2
so
for 10
bad.
from the field.
And he
I
takes bad
know
shots, dude.
he takes bad shots, and the dude can pass. The dude can score. He's got the on-ball juice.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that with a guy that's in his situation where you're basically playing for your career at this point, you were given a chance. You were playing in Greece. You were given a chance to come to a team and contribute to a team, providing
Mm-hmm.
something that this team really needs, which is on-ball scoring. Um, I would really hope to see Kevin Porter iron out the wrinkles here on offense and find better ways to be a positive, because he has not
Right.
been that this season, and we need it. I think that I'm willing to give him a little bit more time, but there is going to be a time soon, if he doesn't get his act together, that I would like to see him replaced by Jordan Miller in that role off the bench, because I think that that's a dude that he's looked fantastic in summer league, fantastic in preseason. He's come out on the record and said, I just want an NBA contract. I want a chance to prove myself. That's the only thing that I care about. And he's, like I said, he's reminds me a little bit of Shai Gilgeous. Obviously, I don't think he'll ever be the scorer that Shai is. I might
Mm-hmm.
be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But this is a guy that likes to get to the free throw line, and he can score off the dribble and stuff like that. And he is ready to provide help to this team. I think that Kevin Porter Jr.'s leash is getting shorter and shorter. And if the time comes, I would love for Jordan Miller to get an opportunity to kind of provide what Kevin Porter isn't right now. So we'll see moving forward. Like I said, I think give Kevin Porter a little bit more time. He was out of the league for a little while, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at Jordan Miller very closely right now. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, that's pretty much it. Loved that we got the win. We're 1-1 on the season. Denver Nuggets are 0-2, which obviously it's early days.
Yeah,
The
2
Nuggets
games,
are 0.
dude.
Nuggets are 0-2. The Lakers are 3-0. The New Orleans Pelicans are undefeated. Like, it's been a little bit all over the shop, obviously, as it always is early on in the season. But I like that the Clippers were able to even up the first 2 games of the season after a pretty tough loss in the stadium opener against the Suns. But I think that about wraps it up for previews, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and we will jump right into the next 4 games in the coming week, the first of which will be a game in about an hour and a half against the Golden State Warriors. So we will be right back, guys. All right, guys, we are back. We're going to we're going to preview 4 games for you real quick. The first of which, like I said, is going to be in about an hour and a half against the Golden State Warriors in the Bay Area. Uh, I think the thing to look for in this game, as it always is when we play these guys, is to try your best to shut down Steph Curry. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors do not have Klay Thompson anymore. They were able to bring in some pieces that can kind of uh, fill in what Klay provided. Obviously, they have Buddy Hield, who is a fantastic 3-point shooter. They got Kyle Anderson. Uh, Brandon Pajemski is looking like he's going to be a very good basketball player. D'Anthony Melton, he can provide some defense, can hit some open shots. So it's going to be kind of more by committee. Jonathan Kuminga has been given a more significant role. Dude is very athletic. He's playing for something.
Yeah.
That's a guy that we're going to have to keep in mind. But I think in this one, as it always is, and probably even more so now that Klay's not with the team, is just try and find a way to get the ball out of Steph Curry's hands. We have the defenders, the defensive personnel to kind of try our best to deny Steph Curry the ball. And I think that needs to be the biggest point of emphasis in this one. And I'm actually more confident in this matchup than I have been in years past, just because we have guys like, obviously we still have Terrence Mann, but guys like Derrick
Yeah.
Jones, guys like Chris Dunn, we got
A lot of
Nico
defenders.
Batum back, so we have a lot of guys that can really provide a lot of perimeter defense. So I think that needs to be the point of emphasis in this one. This is a game that I think will win. The Golden State Warriors have won their first 2 games of the season. I think that after this game, hopefully I'm right, the Golden State Warriors will be 2-1, matching the Clippers 2-1. What do you think about this one, Rolla?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I expect us to win this game. I think we have the personnel, we have the defenders to defend Golden State. They're obviously not the same Golden State Warriors of recent years.
And Buddy Hield's no joke. Like,
I mean, Buddy Hield's a great
sure.
player, but I mean, I don't think he's anywhere near even Klay Thompson today. Personally, I think he's
I
a
don't
great
know.
player, but I think that Klay Thompson's just a little bit more reliable, just based
And there
off
was the
his
chemistry
resume.
too.
Yeah, the
Like
chemistry.
him and Steph were on a
Yeah,
string at all times.
yeah. But I mean, I'm not really tripping on Golden State. I think that they're a good team. They've won their first 2 games. But I think that, especially like seeing that how we've played the Suns and the Nuggets, I think that we see a I don't want to say extreme, but significant drop off in difficulty. And I mean, we can where there's always a possibility we play to our competitors, play down or up to our competitors, but
I'm not
um,
as worried about that this season. Like just from what
I
I've
guess
seen from,
yeah. I mean, obviously we're only 2 games in, so we don't really know, but I
I just look
expect
more
us to.
competitive.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
I expect us to win. This is a game at home, right? Or
no, it's in the Bay Area. We go back home for the
okay,
next 2,
gotcha.
but kind of like what you said, I think the Clippers have always had a history of, excuse me, playing down to their opponents.
Hmm.
I think that this season, that's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be less of a worry, just because what we lack in talent, top end talent, we make up for from what I've seen early on in competitive spirit, the will to
Okay,
win, guys that can really do the dirty work and are willing to do the dirty work and won't complain about it.
right.
Like the guys that I mentioned before. So win, lose or draw, I think that we are going to get a consistent effort from this Clippers team, and I expect that in this one for sure. So I think this is going to be a win. The next game is going to be. We have a couple days off. The next game is going to be versus Portland, who is 0-2. Obviously, a very young, developing team. Chauncey Billups has only been with the team for a couple years as a head coach.
Hmm.
Um, they have talent. Obviously, Scoot Henderson, who's coming off the bench, can still give you. I think I still am a big believer in Scoot Henderson. I think he's very good. Obviously, Anthony Simons, one of the best catch and shoot players in the league year after year. They still have Jeremy Grant. Donovan Clingan is a very good young talent that they have. Obviously, Aiton. They have young talented pieces. I just don't think that they have been able to figure it out. I don't know if they will anytime soon. to me, I think this is another win, especially taking the loss at Intuit in the stadium opener. I think we're going to want to get
A
a
dub.
win in this excuse me, in the stadium for the first time this season. So I don't know. What do you think, Rolla?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not tripping on the Portland Trailblazers at all. I think that they are a team very much on in their rebuild
Rebuilding phase.
phase.
Yep.
So I just don't think that their players are as talented as our players at the end of the day. I mean, I expect a win. Like you said, it's a home game. We want our first win in Intuit Dome. This is a team that isn't going to be as competitive as others,
Mhm.
and this is just full on. I expect the game to be over um, by the third quarter. Honestly,
I hope so, and I think it's a good test because this will be the first team that we play so far this season that is kind of expected to be below 500, expected to be
yeah,
kind of a play-in team. You know, the first three games this season that we're having are against competitive teams, contending teams. I think this will be a good litmus test to see if the Clippers are still talented enough to put lower tier teams away and keep them, keep the lead, keep the lead coming. So I would love to see us get off to an early lead, like Rolla said, and maintain
yeah,
that early lead throughout the game. It's interesting because this is the first night of a back-to-back. The second game, which would be Thursday, is against the Phoenix Suns again. So we get another chance in the Intuit Dome to beat the Suns after a very close nail biter in overtime in the season opener. Um, I want to say that the Clippers are going to come out swinging, and I think they will. They're going to want to get this win and make up for the one that they lost.
yeah.
I think this game, just based on the personnel, is going to be another coin toss. But I'm just going to go
I
in
don't
with
think
some
so.
optimism and think that I'm going to say that the Clippers are going to win this one too. Obviously, we talked about the Phoenix Suns up top, so I don't think we really need to recap them as a team. Booker did foul out, didn't have a great game last time, so I would expect him to be better. Beal ended up having a good game in this last one that we played them in. So I don't know if he's going to be able to match that or if he's going to exceed that. But I think as long as we play Booker the same way that we played him
Yeah,
in the first game of the season and kind of let KD try and beat you, I think that this is one that we can win just on kind of get back basis alone. So
yeah. That I fully agree. I mean, I think that we're going to be extremely motivated. This is a team that spoiled our opening into a dome night.
mhm.
And I just don't think that we're going to accept that. And I think we're going to come out swinging and we're going to come out playing tough. I think this is going to be a blowout win. Just because I feel like the Suns have played a lot of
Blowout, huh?
games recently. Um, as in like I think they have their third or fourth game today or yesterday. Um, but
They played three.
they played three.
Mm.
Do they play today or tomorrow?
Uh, Probably tomorrow. I would need to check that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like they've had a lot of games recently, and
Well, also
I
keep in mind
just
Kevin Durant and Devin Booker both played in the Olympics too. So
yeah, I
a
just
lot of
think
mileage.
that we'll have a little bit more energy than they will going into the game, and I think we're going to want it a little bit more. And I expect a blowout. Honestly, I mean,
I would love that.
I don't really see it being a coin toss. I just don't think that they're going to
Interesting.
be as they're going to have that chip the way we are going to.
Interesting. I mean, at least we know the wall works. We
Yeah,
didn't
I
touch on it
mean,
last preview, but Kevin Durant missed two free throws. Devin Booker, I think, missed a couple.
yeah,
The wall works, guys.
hmm
So hopefully the wall is out there in full force again against this Suns team on Thursday. Keep them missing from the free throw line. That'll
yeah,
certainly help. But I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say that the Clippers can go 3-0 up to this point on this next three stretches, these next three stretch of games. Um, the next one that I want to talk about is one that I think the Clippers might have trouble with, just because this is a team that the Clippers have had trouble with in the past, as of recent, and that would be
yeah,
the Oklahoma City Thunder. That game is going to take place on Saturday, November 2nd. This is also an Intuit Dome. It's the third game in a little homestand. Um, but yeah, I think this one's going to be a little tough. I think this is going to be the fastest, youngest, maybe most talented team that the Clippers will face up to this point in the
Yeah.
season, just in terms of young talent and energy and stuff like that. The Thunder look really good. They were able to beat, I believe it was the Nuggets, the first game of their season, and they ended up putting them away, pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I think that I would expect this one to be a loss. I'd love to be wrong. But between Shea Gilgeous and Chet and Jalen Williams, they have Alex Caruso now. Their bench is solid. Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace. They just play the right way. They shoot a
Mm-hmm.
ton of threes. I will say if the Clippers perimeter defense can stay on point and get really physical in this game, I think that they may have a little bit of a shooting slump from the perimeter. But again, they have guys that like to get to the hoop. Shea Gilgeous is such a great finisher at the rim for a guard. Obviously, Chet's a handful, matchup nightmare for a lot of bigs. I
Mm-hmm.
expect Zu to maybe struggle a little bit just because of Chet's foot speed in this one and his ability to stretch the floor. I'm going to chalk this one up to a loss.
Me too.
That's just me being reasonable. I'd love to be wrong, like I said, but I would be stoked if the Clippers went 3-1 in this next four
Yeah.
games. I would be
I,
happy about that.
yeah, me too. I think this is going to be a difficult one. I think OKC is just younger and better at the end of the day. I mean, they have Clipper legend SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, um, who we gave up for a certain someone who's no longer on the team. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, this team is. I would love to see the future of the Clippers to look like this OKC team. I think they're very talented. I think they're very good. I just
They're
don't
coached
think that.
well.
Yeah, they're coached well. I just don't think that currently the Clippers are on their level. But you never
Fair.
know in the NBA. I mean, one game could go either way. It could be an overtime game again. It could be one that goes down to the wire. So, like you said, I would love to see a Clipper dub, but it's just not looking like it
Yeah.
right now.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I think most Clipper fans would agree that 3-1
Yeah,
in that 4-game stretch is perfectly acceptable.
yeah.
So fingers crossed, guys. We will get back to you next week in terms of recaps on that. But we're going to take another quick break, guys, and we're going to do a hot take, shot take, which is something that we have not done in a little while. I know it's a Sunday, and I know that we have work tomorrow, but guys. It's the first pod of season 2. We're gonna open it up with a hot take, shot take. So we will be right back after that. All right, folks, we are back. Rolla, were you gonna say? I'm gonna let Rolla introduce this next segment.
What's up, guys? We are back. We're gonna try out a new segment called Quick Takes with Rolla and Nick, where I give a real small topic on kind of things that happened in the NBA world throughout this week, and kind of want to get Nick's
Wait, are we
opinion on
doing
it.
hot take, shot take after this?
And we will then be doing hot
Okay,
take, shot
okay,
take
I was
after.
gonna say.
But right now we're doing quick takes.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So I just want to hear your opinions, your comments on a couple of these topics.
Okay.
First topic.
I like this.
First topic. I don't know if you've heard or seen, but Angel Reese has a new podcast that she runs on the side. Most recently, she had. I don't know. I don't know the name of her podcast,
Sure.
but we'll look into it.
Sure.
But most recently, she had a guest, Shaquille O'Neal, on. I don't know if you've seen, but people have been looking at Shaquille O'Neal a little bit sideways because he made a little comment on her.
Wait, who's Shaquille O'Neal?
He's just this this NBA legend.
Who is that guy?
Nah, he made a little comment on her little booty shorts, kind of the way she dresses, and
I did hear about that.
Yeah, it's just kind of a vulgar thing to say to her, but kind of want to hear your opinions on that. I don't know if you saw it, but kind of on Shaq in general and his comments.
Yeah. So obviously Shaq is an NBA legend. He is one of the greatest big men to ever exist. Probably the most physically imposing and dominant physically dominant player to ever play the game, outside of
Mm-hmm.
maybe Wilt Chamberlain. But we're still waiting on that 100-point game footage. So until that comes out, I'm going to say it's Shaq. Anyway, um, Shaq as an analyst, Shaq as a talking head, Shaq as like a media uh, person, someone that provides,
Personality.
someone that provides sports analysis, sports takes, and stuff like that, um, has been abysmal for a long time.
Whoa.
Yes, and it's I'll get to the Angel Reese comments in a sec, but it doesn't surprise me, and I think this might be a hot take in and of itself, but I think that a big reason why uh, inside the NBA, the legendary sports show, which for a long time was, in my opinion, the greatest sports show to ever exist.
I think it
It's
still is.
funny the way that they handle social issues and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. A bunch of legends, love their chemistry, but I think that the basketball in general and the NBA is, and hopefully I'm right on this. They are trying to transition into a little bit more of like sound analytic, like sound analysis, as opposed to hot takes and um, casual takes and stuff like that. And I think what we got from the guys from the inside the NBA, Shaq probably most of all, is the opinions of somebody, or the opinions of people that don't watch all these games. And it's crazy to say, because these guys lived it. These guys are ex NBA players, Hall of Famers, some of the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But really, from what I've seen from them, when they break down games and talk about players and talk about who's good, who's bad, and stuff like that, they're all casual. It seems so casual, and it seems like they just go through Twitter, find some stuff that they like, and talk about it. Like, there's no real analysis. They don't watch the games. They don't know who these role players are. They don't know how important these role players are. If they see, like, for example, if they were to look at Terrence Mann's stats these first two seasons, they'd probably call him a bum, because he's not putting up 15, 20, 25 points. They don't understand the context, and they don't contextualize, right? So to answer your question, your initial question, I think that I know I went off on a tangent, but this is something I'm passionate about.
Right.
Um, the tone deaf nature of the comments that Shaq made about Angel Reese, objectifying her, and
Mm-hmm.
as being a part of the WNBA and being this up and coming star in the WNBA, whether you like her game or you don't like her game, she is a very important part of the youth movement and the next up talent in
Oh
the
yeah.
WNBA. And the WNBA, like, if you're not watching the WNBA right now, then you are missing out, because it has been competitive for a long time, but specifically now, it's most games are better than some of the stuff that I see in the NBA, and I'm not hating on the
Yeah.
NBA, but and so to objectify somebody that is a part of this movement that is all about women's equality, and women can compete in the same way that men can,
Right.
and stuff like that. It's very uh, it's negative, and it doesn't help anybody. And I think that it's just Shaq talking out of his ass, like he has tended to do for a while now, and it's disappointing. Yeah, I mean, there
Yeah.
were a couple years ago, he slid into the DMs of this like chick that was going viral on social media. She was just, like, she either worked at Home Depot, or she was like a
Bro.
customer at Home Depot or something like that. And it's just, I don't know. It's
He's
weird.
weird.
It's
He's
weird.
weird.
It's kind of creepy, or it is
Yeah.
creepy. And it's just doing a disservice to a very important movement in women's equality and stuff. I just think
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of just to summarize my thoughts a little bit. Just because these are supposed to be quick takes. Uh,
Yeah, my bad, dude. You opened up a can of worms, and I just couldn't find the lid. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. No, but I mean, Angel Reese and Shaquille O'Neal are both LSU alumni. Um, Angel Reese, I mean, Shaq is one of the greatest big men ever, and
You sound like me now.
Angel Reese is a big woman.
Okay.
in basketball terms, not in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
mean, she's tall.
Yeah, I mean, no, okay. No, I meant she's like she plays in the position of larger, taller women.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
but she really looked up to him. Oh, it seems like she really looks up to him as like a father figure, as someone to go to for advice on how to handle media, as how to handle being seen as a villain, on how to navigate the sports world of the WNBA that's now blown up. I mean, getting so much attention, especially with the presence of Caitlin Clark and her being like her rival, and for Shaq to almost like degrade her and talk about like her physical appearance. I mean, Angel Reese started off the podcast with by saying, "Oh, what was your first thoughts like when you saw me?" And the first thing he said was, "Oh, I thought you were very beautiful." And that's such a to me that's such a weird thing that that's your first
It's a cop
thought.
out. Yeah.
It's
It's
I mean, no one would ever say, "Oh," if you asked a woman like, "Oh, whoever, what was your first thoughts on Shaq when you saw him play?" And she was like, "Oh, the first thing I thought was he was so handsome." No, they'd be like, "He was balling." You know what I
yeah.
mean? And if that's not the first thing that comes in your head when you see her, then I don't think that you deserve to be in that space to be in that women's basketball presence like space, because I just think that it's weird
Well,
and
didn't
it's
he
a
also
weird thing
say
to
that they should
comment
like
on.
shorten the rims and like the WNBA would be a lot more popular if like they
I don't
lowered
know
the
if that was
rims
him.
and
Was
okay.
that him?
I
But
think well,
yeah, I
a
think
lot of people have said that, but
yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
that's a whole
bullshit.
different topic. But yeah, I just thought that that podcast was weird. I just saw like a couple clips and I just thought the comments were weird. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah,
on to the
let's
next
okay,
quick
we're gonna
take.
I'm gonna now I understand the
Yeah,
assignment. I'm
now
gonna be quick.
let's
Yeah.
get it pushing. Next quick take: Lonzo Ball's return to the NBA.
Yeah. I heard a lot of a couple different people talk about how they didn't think Lonzo Ball was going to play ever again, and I started to believe it. And I don't know if he's ready to be back, but I think it's great
Mm-hmm.
that he's back. He looks better than I thought he would. My only worry is like, are they rushing him back for optics, or just to try and give him a chance to save his NBA career at the expense of like literally his ability to walk? Because from what I
Mm-hmm.
understand, what he was going through was very specific, very
Right.
rare, and very serious. So I'm wishing all the best for Lonzo. I'm a huge fan of Lonzo Ball. He looks good. I hope that he stays healthy.
Right. I agree. I mean, Lonzo Ball before he got injured was such a great player. I've always thought he was a great player coming out of UCLA. I personally think he's the best college player I've ever seen. Just the things he was doing and the way he put UCLA on the map. I don't want to say on the map, but I
I was
mean,
gonna say there's been
no one's
plenty.
talking about UCLA anymore like that. Their basketball team. Um,
He kind of revitalized
he fully
the
revitalized
conference.
them, and I'm just glad to see him back in the NBA. Honestly, I've always been a fan and a fan of their family. I mean, we had LeVar Ball announce our
We
fantasy
did,
basketball
yeah. Shouts out
um,
LeVar Ball. That was cool.
order, but yeah, I've always been a fan of all of the full family, I guess, except Leangelo.
Yeah,
He's on some weird shit, but
yeah.
I mean, Lamelo's hilarious. I think he's a great basketball player. Alonzo's a great basketball player, and I'm just happy to see him back on the court.
Me
And
too.
hopefully he can somehow get back to what he was.
Sure.
And then last quick take.
That's
This
it.
one's
You
a
only
kind of.
have three.
I mean, you took up 10 minutes on the first one, so.
That's true. Okay, let's go. Come on.
Last one. This is a funny one. I
Okay.
believe it was last night or maybe 2 nights ago. Brandon Ingram hit a game-winning shot over Anthony Simons, and the interesting thing about those two players is they have the same baby mama.
Oh, is that a
A
fact?
woman, yeah, it's a fact. A woman has two children, which each one of them, and so it's a little bit more. It meant. I'm assuming it meant a little bit more on for Brandon Ingram. Do you have any
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Well, I'm just learning about this now. So, do I have any thoughts about
Do you
it?
have any thoughts on Brandon Ingram, on Anthony Simons, on their talent levels?
Just kind of like a different subject altogether. Yeah, I mean, I love both of them. I think they're completely different types of players. Brandon Ingram is a mid-range master. Anthony Simons is a catch and shoot stud. Different
Dunk contest winner.
dunk contest winner. Wait, did he win? I know he participated. I
He
can't remember
won.
if he won. Okay.
I think it was 2 years
Yeah,
ago, 3 years ago.
I really like both of them. That's wild that they both have the same baby mama, but you know, I'm sure that there's other players in the league that share a baby mama or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So yeah, the baby mama thing, I think that's very interesting. I'm learning that today for the first time. That's crazy that he so happened to hit the game winner over him. But yeah, I mean, as players, I like both of them. I probably like Brandon Ingram more just because I like that style. I like that mid-range game. I mean, that's why I like Kawhi so much. I like guys that
Mm-hmm.
can really thrive in the mid-range because it's kind of a lost art. So yeah, that's my opinion on both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, they're both great players.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Anthony Simons, mostly because I think he can get really hot. I think he can hit some crazy shots, and I think he's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. Um, and I just love his name, Anthony.
Yeah.
But I'm also a fan of Brandon Ingram. I think that he is, like you said, a mid-range master. He's tall, he's lengthy, and he's very difficult to defend. And I think when he turns it on, especially in the playoffs, I've noticed he turns it on and he kind of kills it. And
He's been in a little slump the last couple of years, but I think that people kind of forget just how good he is and how
yeah,
far he's come as a player too. Because
hmm
he really wasn't. I don't think that he was that type of player in college and his early days with the Lakers. He wasn't the player that kind of seeks out his kill shot, especially in mid
right.
range and stuff. So he's really changed. He's been able to expand his game a little bit and focus on little nuances.
hmm
So yeah, I'm a fan of both of them, but I think the edge for me personally goes to Brandon Ingram.
Gotcha. Me too. All right.
Cool.
Now we're moving on
I
to
like that
hot
segment. Rolla
take.
came up with that. For those of you guys that don't know, Rolla came up with that segment like an hour ago. So I'm
Yeah.
liking it, and I think
Yeah,
that
I
we
really like
should.
it.
I think that we should implement that going forward. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is
Yeah.
that time, guys.
Moving on to
Hot
hot
take,
take, shot take.
I'm pouring up a shot of Buffalo Trace. Gonna take a shot of whiskey on this
I'm
fine
pouring up a
Sunday.
shot of Espolon. I'm
Oh,
sure.
okay.
I'm sure they've seen this before.
I'm sure
The
you guys
people.
have. My hot take is it's kind of a two-parter.
I
This
feel like
is
we have the
also
same hot take, bro.
I don't think I actually pretty positive we don't.
Okay.
But I kind of wanted to save these long-term hot takes for one of the other episodes further on down the line, but I'm just going to get this one out of the way. I think the first part of this hot take is that I think that James Harden will be in the conversation for MVP this season. In the conversation.
Oh, dude, we have the same hot take, bro.
Are you serious?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say just because I think that if the Clippers exceed expectations, which our expectations are in the basement right now, if we exceed expectations, I think that there will be a narrative behind it, and also James Harden is a number one option. We've seen it in the first two games. He's scored a lot of points, he's taken a lot of shots, and I think that when James Harden's put in a number one option role, I
Mhm.
think that he's a guy that he can turn heads. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, and so that's the first part. I think the second part is that Ivica Zubac will be in the conversation for most improved player this season.
Whoa. No, we actually have the same hot take now.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. He's probably not my first pick just because I can't remember the last time a Clippers player won most improved player. If you guys know, let us know in the comment section below for those of you Clipper heads that are deep into the lore. But I think that he's going to be in the running, especially because I think that he has a higher responsibility this season. And from what we've seen the first two games, he's risen to the occasion. So cheers to that, guys. Maybe both of those things will happen. Maybe none of them will happen, but that's my hot take and I'm sticking to it.
Damn. Well, I don't think James.
Sorry.
I don't think James Harden is going to be in the conversation for MVP. Personally, just because I don't think the team is going to be good enough. Usually, MVP is the best player on the best team, and I don't think that the Clippers will be the best team. I think that James Harden could be the best player on a team. I mean, I don't know if Kawhi will ever come back this season. I mean, he's out indefinitely.
He'll be back.
He could honestly be out the entire season. We have absolutely no idea. But I just don't think the Clippers are going to be the best team in the league. And because of that, I don't think James Harden will be MVP. And your second, I mean, we have the same hot take. I mean, my hot take was that Zu was going to be an all-star this year. I think if he keeps, same thing, most improved player. If you're most improved player, I feel like a lot of the times you'll all-star. Really, who's the most improved player last year?
I don't know, dude. That awards become such a weird thing because like they give it to like some of the best players in the league. Like half the time, it's like I think didn't Ja Morant win MIP? Not last.
I don't know if Ja Morant ever won MIP. He's been balling every season.
Let me look that up.
I forgot who it was. But yeah, I think he'll be an all-star, man. I think. Do they have a center position for the all-stars, or is it just forwards?
No. They'll have centers.
I think no. Is it like a set? Is it like 2 guards and 3?
Okay, like, so okay. Here, sorry. Last year it was Tyrese Maxey. The year prior, it was Lowry.
Tyrese was an all-star,
and then the year
Markkanen was an all-star.
It was Ja Morant in 2021.
Ja Morant won most improved player.
Yeah,
that's insane, dude.
Yeah, I mean Giannis won it back in 2016.
But that makes sense because he actually went from like a normal dude to an MVP.
I just think that that's an award where you should never really give it to somebody that's an all-star level player, like because then they're in the running for another award.
But what if they go from what if they go from like a regular dude who was never even seen to an all-star level? Like
yeah, I suppose.
I mean, I think Tyrese Maxey was really, really good last year, 2 years ago, but last year he was a full-fledged all-star. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's all like situational.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a chance that Zu gets MIP. I don't know if he'll be an all-star. I just think that with the all-star game, they put a premium on like running and dunking and what are you laughing at?
Nothing. I just got another hot take, dude.
Okay, let's hear it. You gotta take another shot though.
No, I'm taking one shot because my first one was with you, or is the same with yours.
Okay.
So this is my actual hot take.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, what is
this pause is for dramatic effect.
Okay, yeah, I can tell.
My hot take.
It's gonna be bad.
Is that Bronny James?
Oh God.
Cracks the starting lineup for the Lakers.
Whoa.
and gets material legit playing time on the Lakers.
Dude. I don't think so at all. I think you're fucking insane.
It's a hot take, bro.
Very hot take. Only and maybe if Darvin Ham was still the coach, but I don't think JJ because JJ's very analytic. Like
it's a hot take, bro.
There's no way he looks at the numbers and is like, "Yep, that's the solution right now." Like, while Roller recovers from that shot, I'm going to comment a little bit on that. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that happens because for the reason that I just said, I think that it would be a disservice to Bronny.
Oh my God. That was trash, bro.
Yeah, it was trash, huh?
Yeah, I'm not taking
So was that take though, so.
Nah, bro.
Do you believe that?
You don't believe in the truth, bro.
Christ.
He's got goat blood running in him, bro.
He does have goat blood running in him. But I mean, dude, I don't know, man. I think realistically, I think Bronny needs to be playing in the G League because he was not robbed, but he didn't get the chance to build upon his game in college, right? He only had one year, played his first year.
Well, he had the heart thing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that is a good point. But I think that you need to get reps
But
When
what about when he was? I feel like he was a pretty legit player before his heart situation. I mean, he was ranked like top, like wasn't he ranked like top 20 by ESPN
I don't know,
before?
man. I've never been a huge, and I sound like a hater, but I've never been as big of a fan of Bronny's game as like a lot of people have, and I
Why?
think a big part of
He
it's
plays like
pedigree.
Terrence Mann though. Have you seen like the way he plays?
I have, and I've always said this. I think that Bronny's ceiling, and this would be great, but I think Bronny's ceiling would be a guy like Derek White or Drew Holiday. Um,
I
and you know
disagree.
those guys are champions and stuff like that. But I think that he'll be a high level role player at his
I
ceiling.
don't think he'll even get as good as Derek White. If I'm being real, I think
Okay,
his ceiling,
so you're not
like
helping your case very much then.
no, I just said he's going to crack the starting lineup. Terrence Mann is in the starting lineup. I think his absolute ceiling is Terrence Mann or like Alex Caruso.
The problem with those guys is those guys had a chance to showcase and develop what they can do in college and stuff like that.
That's true. Alex
Like
Caruso was in the G League for a long time.
well, I mean that too, but like uh, I don't know. I think that Bronny and I get why they did it. They wanted a chance for Bronny to play with LeBron. It's never happened
Mm-hmm.
before. It's really cool. You know, I think there's a little bit of a gimmicky nature to it, but at the end of the day, if I was LeBron, I would do the same thing. But I think that the fact that he was pulled prematurely out of college when he really wasn't an NBA ready player yet, I don't think it's going to really subtract from his process and like or detract from his process in terms of like he's not going to get the normal way that a lot of guys like Terrence Mann and Alex Caruso got in terms of like playing with no expectations at a lower level, you know, whether it's college or G League or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and having the like the trial and error to figure out what kind of player they want to be and how they can help and stuff like that. Like now that he's in the spotlight, he's playing for the Lakers, he's playing with his dad. There's always going to be a pressure, and I think that he won't have that that
Pressure makes diamonds,
freedom.
bro.
That I mean, that's true. That's true, but I think that it's a different kind of pressure. I think that it's now there's an expectation where guys like you mentioned, Terrence Mann and Alex Caruso, these
But
guys had no expectation whatsoever, so they were able to focus on their game without being under a magnifying glass.
I think the Lakers like training staff, um, and the way they treat their rookies or the way they train their rookies. I mean, if you look at all of the Lakers, I don't want to say all, but if you look at most of the Lakers rookies, I mean, where are they today? They are all great players. I mean, you look at Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle. These are all players drafted by the Lakers. I mean, you look at Connect, for example. He's already balling coming from, from college. We'll
For
see
sure.
how he is at the end of the year. I mean, you look at Lonzo Ball. You look at,
But picks like that make sense, dude. Like, and I think that's more of a testament to the Lakers scouting team because I think that the Lakers have like one of the
okay, but
best
what about
scouting.
someone like Kyle Kuzma? Someone who was drafted late and was able to develop really well under the Lakers
But
system and then
but
go on and be
you
a
saw the
great player.
vision. You saw the vision with guys like Kuzma. Like these are guys that showcase their ability in college, and you know were able to right when they were given minutes, were able to contribute in a way. I just don't. I can't look at Bronny's college tape and honestly even his high
But
school
that's
tape
not
and say
fair. You can't look at his college tape because he was coming off of a health issue. I mean, if you look at his high school tape, I mean, there was a reason why ESPN ranked him that high. That
okay.
high.
So let me ask you this question: What do you
He
think that
played
he does?
McDonald's All American.
What do you think that he does well that will translate to a need that the Lakers have to warrant him not only playing minutes but being in the starting lineup? Because that's
Like I said, I think he's cut from the same cloth as like an Alex Caruso or like a Terrence Mann, where you might not see the numbers on paper, but he makes an impact in the game. I just
okay.
think that's his play type. I mean I don't think he grew up and played high school and played college, kind of trying to chase LeBron or chase like being a superstar because that's just not him. I mean he's what 6'2", 6'3". I mean in today's NBA, unless you're like 6'5", 6'6", you're not really gonna be a superstar. And I think he recognizes that, and I think he's chasing something else. I think he's chasing his own prototype, his own build, his own type of way, his own way to play. And I mean, I think that that's something that can take him far. I mean, we still see Terrence Mann in the league for, for years. I mean, he just signed a huge contract. We still see Alex Caruso in the league. We still see all these players that are of that type, of that cloth, that have long careers in the NBA. And I think that's kind of what he's chasing.
That's interesting. And I see, like, I respect the passion. I respect the belief. I would love to see him become a good player. Like, I I try to be realistic with my expectations with him and like how I view him like as an NBA prospect. But at the end of the day, I would love to see him succeed. That's a tough position to be in. I think Bryce already is a better player or like a better talent per
Mm-hmm.
se. But I would love
Bryce
to
is
see.
taller, dude. Bryce
He's
is like six
taller.
six already.
He has like I don't know. He already has more of a knack for scoring. Like he's figured out the type of player that he wants to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a scorer. Um, but with that all that being said, I would love to see Bronny succeed, especially while LeBron's in the league. That'd be a really cool thing to be a part of as a viewer and as an NBA fan, as a fan of the
Mm-hmm.
sport. So I don't know, that'd be cool. I don't
Yeah.
believe that will ever happen, not ever, but I don't think that'll happen this year. But I don't know. I've been wrong before, so.
Yeah.
That
We'll
is a
see.
very hot take. Guys, I think that does it for hot take, shot take.
Yeah.
Um, I think that probably does it for the show. Rolly, did you want to
Mm-hmm.
touch on anything else before we get on
No.
out of here and enjoy this beautiful Sunday and a Clippers hopeful win against the Golden State
Yeah.
Warriors?
No. I don't have anything else.
All right, guys. Well, I think that does it. We will touch base.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Touch base.
that shot's already
I'm kind of turned up, bro.
Um, we will touch base next week. Hopefully, recap what we assume is going to be a 3-1 stretch for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot to be excited about, guys. We're going right back to Intuit Dome after this one to watch some more fantastic footage of the wall and from the Clippers fans showing up in full force. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this episode of the Clip Service Podcast, the first episode of our second season. We really appreciate you guys supporting the pod. Comment, like, subscribe. Get at us on Twitter, as Rolla said up top, at Clip Service Pod. Watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all the above. Thank you guys again so much. And as always, let's go Clips.
Go Clips.